Whoa, 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 whoa.
Rare years. And you're not going to see many like this. I don't know if we'll ever see it happen again. Where I believe a team like Miami can win a couple of games in this playoff. I think they can make a run at it. I believe a team like Vanderbilt can make a run. Texas, BYU, all four of these teams you're looking at right here, they can make a run. For example, last year, it came down to Alabama and SMU. I'm going to divert back to that. I didn't think either of those teams would win more than one game. And we saw it at SMU. They lost their first game. It wasn't too close. We got to talk about this, too. There's this whole argument going on about, well, why are we wasting a spot with their group of five? Why are we throwing in this mediocre best Tulane team? Look, I'm going to keep it a Fortnite debuff with you. Is Miami better than Tulane? Yes. Is BYU better than Tulane? Yes. Is Vanderbilt better than Tulane? Yes. Is Texas better than Tulane? Yes. And I could probably list off a couple other teams like Utah, and the list goes on and on and on. But I'm all for the group of five getting one automatic bid because it makes it fair. It gives them something to play for. If you take away the automatic bid for the group of five at that point in time, they may as well not even play Division I football. They might as well make their own conference and championships and stuff like that. So no, I just disagree with people saying we're wasting a spot with giving it to the group of five. I understand you don't think they can compete against these guys, but no, we got to give them something to play for. That's what it's all about. You could use the same logic with the 16 seed in March Madness. I believe 16 seeds in the history of the NCAA tournament have only won 2 games. So you could say, well, why are we even wasting a spot giving it to some random team from a no-name conference when you could give it to an SEC team in basketball or a Big Ten or ACC team that went 19-13? They have a way better shot of competing with. Let me give you an example. Who's like a mid-tier team in the ACC this year? I don't know. We'll just say Virginia Tech basketball. Would Virginia Tech give, we'll say, number 1 seed Duke a better game than Chattanooga State Water Aquarium Community College? Absolutely. But Chattanooga State Water Aquarium College, they won their conference, so you don't see people complain about that. Same thing here. I don't think the fix is getting rid of the group of five automatic spot, the automatic bid. The better solution, in my humble opinion, would be this right here. That's fine. Keep their automatic bid. Let's just expand it to 16, 20, and I've seen people say this, 24 teams. I'm cool with it. More the merrier. People talk about expansion like it's a bad thing. I disagree. I'm in favor of it. I've always been in favor of it because it gives teams. Okay, good example. With the 14 playoff and in the BCS era, if you lost one game, maybe max two, you're like, all right, season's over. So by week 6 or 7, for most of these teams and fan bases out there, you're already done with college football season and you're moving on to something else. Well, if we expand it to 24 teams, think about this. You could have 3 or 4 losses and you're still rooting for your team because it's not over. You're fighting for a playoff spot. That's why I like it. It's going to keep fans more engaged, and that's the goal. Last thing I'll address before we end up this video, the ACC. Oh, gosh, you want to talk about a hot garbage conference. We know farther than them. Duke, 7-5 Duke is in the ACC championship, and if they beat Virginia, of course, in this graphic you don't see it here because we're predicting, or most people are predicting Virginia win that game, but if Duke wins, they're going to be in the playoffs, a 5-loss team. It's going to be the same argument. Everyone's going to say, well, why is a 5-loss Duke team getting in? Why is Virginia getting in? They're not that good. We should have given that spot to Miami, Vanderbilt, Texas, or BYU. I agree, but it is the automatic bid. It is what it is, man. You can't do anything about it. Here's what I know for certain, and I'm excited for it. Tuesday, it's gonna be ugly. When I say ugly, I mean a lot of fan base they're gonna be pissed off, and I can't wait to see it and all the reactions and whatnot. I'm curious to know your thoughts on it down below, but they're all gonna. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope all of you having a great Sunday night. Hope all of you had a great weekend watching some amazing rival games. Hope you had a great rival week, great Thanksgiving, all that nice stuff. If not, hope this video can make it a little bit better. First things first, I got to start by saying I do apologize. This week 14 recap is being uploaded extremely late. However, it's not because we haven't been grinding in the MBG sweatshop. To give you some context and perspective, your boy Matt has only slept about 2 to 3 hours. It's been a long weekend, to say the least. However, we are pumping out the content nonstop. It's the MBG Sweatshop. It's what we do. We're open 24/7. The reason I have delayed this a little bit because we've had to cover all the news surrounding Lane Kiffin, and then you got the John Summerall news. Auburn just announced their head coach, so I did put this on the back burner. However, we've covered everything. I'm sure there's going to be more chaos. I bet there's a new head coach taking a new job or getting fired by the time I upload this video. But like we say, it is what it is. We got to knock out this recap. So that being said, I don't have time to waste. You don't have time to waste either. We're jumping straight to this. You know what we're going to discuss. The Iron Bowl, Alabama and Auburn. When that game is in Tuscaloosa, hasn't historically been all too great. But when it's in Jordan-Hare Stadium, you want to talk about some of the best finishes you're ever going to see. And we had another one on Saturday night. We also had the game with the. This is going to be hard to do, ain't it? I want to call them Little Bro State, but I can't do it anymore. It's just the Ohio State. Maybe I'm going to call them Big Bro State. Let me know in the comment section. Versus Michigan. They finally got revenge. 4 straight long years of losing to those guys. However, they get the win, and they didn't just beat Michigan. They dominated them. And there's many other games we're going to be discussing and talking about. There's so many places to start with this. First things first. Why is the Egg Bowl not on Thanksgiving? Can somebody explain that to me? Why is the Egg Bowl not on Thanksgiving? No. That needs to be mandatory. Egg Bowl has got to be on Thanksgiving. I like the NFL. I do. I really enjoy it. But it's tradition. We got to move the Egg Bowl back Thursday. That's my gripe with that. And I'm not going to talk about that game too much. It was on Friday. It was a blowout. Mississippi State, they were no match for Ole Miss and the Lane Train. And, yeah, as we know, the Lane Train's now gone. But he was coaching that game. Ole Miss, they're heading to the playoffs. Congratulations. We're not going to speak on that too much. Moving along here, what was our other Thursday game? Didn't we have, we had Georgia and Georgia Tech. Golly, am I the only one who feels like or I said Thursday game, my apologies, we're all over the place. Running a little sleep, so you gotta bear with me if I, mix my words up and whatnot. Friday, I feel like the Friday games were 2 weeks ago, but it was only a few days ago. That's because everything going on. We had Texas A&M, Texas, big upset there, and we had the Georgia Bulldogs versus Georgia Tech. We'll start with Georgia first since they were a 2:30 game. Not a lot to say about this one. It was ugly. It was low scoring, but Georgia, they did what they needed to do. Gunnar Stockton didn't have the best showing in the world you're ever going to see. But that Georgia defense, I'm actually pretty. If I were a Georgia fan, I'd be pretty dang happy with this team heading to the SEC championship. Because on one side of you could say, yeah, well, we struggle with the nerds. Georgia Tech is not that good of a football team. They're decent. They're scrappy. Offense, they didn't look all too great. But my biggest takeaway from the game is that Georgia defense is looking like a prime 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023 Georgia defense. I'm liking what I see out of them, so I'm walking away from that game feeling really good about the Georgia Bulldogs. How about this one? Texas and Texas A&M. I know what everybody's going to be talking about. Matt, is Texas going to make the playoffs? We're not even here to discuss all that. Let's just break down and analyze this game. Texas, we knew heading into this matchup, they have the talent to beat Texas A&M. My biggest takeaway from the Texas A&M loss is this right here. I've been telling y'all all season long, they are fraudulent. They're going to get exposed. But not only are they going to get exposed, Marcel Reed's going to get exposed. It's not just this game. You saw it in the South Kakalaki game. By the way, fun fact for you, heading into this weekend, I had Georgia ranked ahead of Texas A&M. I keep de-ranking them. Why? Because they're not that good. And what I saw in the South Kakalaki game, it confirmed all of that. And guess what? Marcel Reed and Texas A&M, they're going to get exposed in the playoffs. You're going to see it again. By the way, here's another fun fact for you. Sure, they play in the SEC, but they played the worst schedule you're ever going to see. They played the bottom 8 teams in the SEC the entire season. They finally play a decent team. What happens? They lose. The second half was dominated by Texas. Arch Manning outdueled Marcel Reed. Marcel Reed, he's a walking turnover. He just can't pass the football. He's a heck of an athlete. But I don't know how you can even not just win a championship, but compete for one. What a guy that can't throw the football. And it's not even like A&M has a ferocious defense either. They're good. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give them a 6. But if you want to win a championship with a so-so quarterback, your defense has got to be a 9. You got to have a Michigan defense. You got to have a Georgia defense from years ago, stuff like that. But even if you have a game manager like Stetson DoorDash Bennett or J.J. McCarthy, the beauty of that is they don't lose you games. Marcel Reed can lose you a game. It's that bad. That's all I really got to say about that. Let's head into our Saturday games at 11 a.m. You know what we had. One of my favorite games of the year. I look forward to this game all summer, all fall, and all winter long. Big bro, Ohio State now versus Michigan. Whew. You want to talk about getting dominated? That's what happened Saturday morning. Here's some stats for you. Michigan had 9 first downs, didn't even cross double digits. Ohio State was 10 for 17 on third downs. Michigan 1 for 50 years. Ohio State had 400 offense. Michigan 163. Ohio State had 233 passing yards. Michigan 60 rushing. Ohio State won. Look at it. This is great. A lot more tells you how the game went. It's not like coming into the game. No.
And
look
he'll
at
just
like, dang, Ohio State dominated Michigan, and if you watch the game like myself, you know Ohio State dominated Michigan. Is a big common possession team, right? Run first team. You know, this game, Ohio State has the ball for 40 and 1 second to be exact. Michigan, the other 15.
Yeah, you're seeing it more and more. There's more high school quarterbacks now ready to take the next step.
If I keep things short, simple, and sweet, that's what I strive to do on this channel. I wish I could get up here and talk about this game for 10 minutes.
I guarantee you,
Ohio
he
State,
has so much nervous energy going right now because he has never
Ohio State
played
better defense.
in an
Ohio State better
environment like
defense
this,
back. Ohio
and he's
State
never
better
played
wide
against
receivers.
competition like this
Ohio
either.
State better
No,
tight
it's
end.
crazy. And that
Ohio
was
State better
1920. So
head coach.
imagine now
Ohio
all the
State
technology, how much he's feeling the nerves. Obviously,
Ohio State Michigan
all
was
the
better
eyeballs
at
in the
field
stadium
goal kicking. Their
is on
kicker
him.
was 3 for 3 on
Everybody
the day.
knows what he's
He had a
capable
great showing.
of,
It's
but
just,
he's going to be the
this is
first
what
guy to
happens.
touch the
You gotta
football.
Yeah, he caught that,
You
huh?
got a team that is by far the
That's
best
a lot to
country
ask for a
versus
freshman.
a decent team.
Let's see what they've
You
got
know,
on
you
second
say
down.
Michigan's good. They played 3 good teams this year, but they didn't compete in the game. They got
Looking
dominated
for
by
room.
USC. USC.
Got enough for the first, and
Ohio
he's still
State,
going.
they're great.
A
And who
big
though?
up
Oh
of
yeah,
5,
Oklahoma.
marching
Oklahoma,
at
I mean,
the
losing
36
them.
yard
They're just
line.
like,
They'll snap it from the 36. They've got a first down.
happy for him today. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I'm happy for him. You can tell how much this game
To
means
the
to
ground.
him.
He's got it
This
again.
Ohio State program. They deserve to win.
Guys, let's talk for a minute
Divided
about
into
Notre Dame. They're coming
because
off
they
an appearance in the
out-toughed
national
Ohio State. They
championship
were
game
tougher
last year.
than Louisville State. But guess what happened? It was tougher
Yeah,
than
they're
Ohio State,
motivated to
and
take the
they
next
lose
step.
to
And
Louisville.
they feel like they've
Unfortunately for them.
upgraded to
Big
several
shout out to
key
Ohio State.
positions
I know
this
they won a
year,
championship last
hoping
year, and I
that
don't
they
want
can
to care
take it
if
that
it's
one
out
next
there
step
for
and
this
win
year's
the
team.
Natty this season.
Yeah, it's
my
one thing to
opinion,
get there,
way
but
better
man,
last
do you
year.
get even
Oregon
hungrier
took care of
when you
business
got
against
there
Washington.
and you
They
had to watch the other team celebrate? So a good chance to take out some demons, start this year off good, and maybe forget about last year's
they're a
legacy.
lock against the playoffs at
That's
this point.
caught. It's
I'm
calling.
with that Oregon.
And this one will be stopped for no gain.
I can't call them overrated. I think they're a good team.
Between them and the
Oklahoma and
State on
LSU.
second down.
This is the one.
Back to pass, it's Carr. Pulls it in.
We just
And a
disagree.
really nice
See it
job by the
differently
wide
to get
receiver.
it
You
their
run a
fans.
drag route, find space. They're in zone coverage.
It's
They're not
Oklahoma.
covering man-to-man. Find a little
Big ass
hole.
knee is a
Look
freak.
at that QB. Y'all get on the same
Well,
page.
you're getting
You could tell they were, and that's why they got the
They
first
are
down.
the
On third and short,
worst
they'll ride the
Holy
running back.
man, this
I hope
Notre
that
Dame
makes
team.
and if you're an Oklahoma fan, maybe some of you can vouch for me, agree with me.
Notre Dame ready to go with another first down.
What happened at the start of the year is the Heisman runner. Now this guy just
Wants to
he's
go up
booty
top
cheek.
on
He gets
first
booty
down.
cheek. The
Finds his
defense,
man down the middle.
arguably,
They
top
stop
two
him
names.
almost
Number one, Ohio
immediately.
State. Number two,
Short
Oklahoma.
gain there, still holding the ground.
Everything else
Covered.
out of that is terrible. Offense is they stink.
Back to pass on
It's
second
probably
down.
understated.
And
I
the
can say
quarterback will be
that's
slung
understated.
down
They're
back
beneath
at
the
the
barrel.
43.
And bottom of the barrel,
All
where you think
defenses
they are,
talk
they're
about
beneath.
sacks, tackles for a loss, affecting the quarterback the best way you can. The first drive of the game, already getting home. Nice start for this defense.
No.
On
You know,
third
because I
and
said
long, he's going to
Alabama,
have
or
to throw for it.
I said Oklahoma
He
didn't beat
did
Alabama.
not
Alabama
make
beat
it a
them. And
stone
then it
wall
goes
on
down
third
behind that
down.
because Alabama,
The
they
Irish
don't
set
play
up
them on the game. Why don't Oklahoma win?
First
Because of
punt of
three
the game,
mistakes.
he'd
Three
love
turns.
to lock them up close to their goal line.
I think that's true. It's the same thing in the Auburn-Alabama game. Auburn,
That thing was down for a while, but the big bounce carried it into the end zone, and it'll be a touchback.
I'm saying it against my favorite team in Alabama.
Miami's offense will try to get something going with their first possession.
Where they don't make mistakes, and they're hard to beat because they just let everyone else make mistakes. And what does all the fans say?
Ready to make a huge
mad
impact.
because we
how fun
mistakes.
is
The
it to
other team
have
didn't
two
beat
guys,
themselves. We
one on each
forced them.
side, when they
I'm
have the
having to argue
football,
with you.
like they can go the
I
distance.
agree, and there's two
Dynamic
sides.
speed.
On one side of it, you got me saying no, Oklahoma,
Smashes him with the
he's
stiff
lucky the
arm.
ball's bouncing the way the
Across
other
the 50
make
and
mistakes
down
against
and
them.
out of
However,
bounds at the
there's the other side of it
44.
where
Good
you
pickup
guys
on
are
that
saying, well,
one.
don't that work for us?
And the
Mistake.
Hurricanes
I get
come to
it.
line
But all
after
I'm saying
ripping
is,
off that huge
I
gain
just
on the
now
ground, trying to keep
feeling
it
good
going.
about this one heading into the playoffs. Now,
And he
they
does
are
a really nice job finding open space and making a good game before the stop is made.
They were bad now.
Guys, he's already got 44 yards on the ground in the first quarter. What a tremendous start to this season. He can't find anybody
Notre
who
Dame, they're going to come
incomplete
check
as
on
the defense does a really good job in covering.
schedule.
The
Miami, they
Canes come to
beat
the line
Pitt.
on
It's
third and
horrendous
short,
why they
looking to
Still, I
keep
have
this
no
drive
idea.
moving.
Vanderbilt, what about this one at 2:30? The Nerds. Goodness. I did not see this coming. I did. A 21-burger.
Off play
If
action.
you were to tell me Matt Vanderbilt's going to
The
win, I said
quarterback
no way.
can make a big play when he starts moving around.
That shot.
Fine coverage and an incomplete pass. The defense knocks it away and forces a fourth down. Love seeing these early season top 25 matchups. You can get a really good feel of how good these teams are now.
And the intensity is going to be big too, David, because the players, you know.
Makes the grab, he's got a first down. And not much of a fourth down gamble when it's that much of a sure thing. An easy conversion for this offense. And the Canes are
I
rolling
know
down
we've
the field.
expanded to 12 teams, but it's not enough this year. I hate the fact that
Touchdown, Miami! Fired in from the red zone for the score. They strike first, and that opening drive of the season could not have gone better.
And this QB starting to do some work, man. The big explosive play in the passing game. You get inside the 10, you're thinking run.
a big both teams get let down like BYU. I'd like to see them get it. It's a shame. I feel like we need 16 or 20 teams this year. It's just...
They get set for the point after we have the first
feel that
score
way.
of the
But
game.
getting back on track with
And
the
the
game.
extra point is good, and it's 7-0. So that scoring drive took only 6 plays. They're set to kick it off. You think this crowd's going to get loud when their defense comes on the field?
Free kick out of bounds. Kicking team.
Looks like a penalty on the kickoff as the ball goes out.
This is what solidified his Heisman campaign. He's not going to win it, but you got to invite him. You beat your rival on the road by a 20-burger. And Bobby was talking all this crap before the game, and he backed it up. He did. I love that he did that. Shout out to Vanderbilt. Shout out to the Nerds that turn around the program. Also, there's
The
some rumors.
RPO, it's complete.
He's trying to petition where he
He
can play
puts him
next
in
year.
business
That's
across
going to
the
be crazy.
50
Was there
into
another
the
2:30 game? No, I think
46-yard
that's
line.
it.
It'll be
Yeah,
first
California
down.
upsetting SMU. Why is that
Here's this
important?
offense
Because
with
now,
a fresh set of downs.
shake my head. You got the 7-5 Dukies going to the ACC championship. Can you imagine this?
Looking
It's
for a
7-5 and they
physical
make the
attack from the gun. He
Yeah,
fought him off for a
they
while,
probably
but
gonna make
that's
the
what
playoffs
they
as
mean
well.
by
I saw some
game
people
tackle.
playing them. I'll be saying to Wayne.
Notre
Well,
Dame has
dude,
made this
you
second
got to
half
send
play
one
much
from
more
the top
difficult
school. We've already
after
been
going back.
not getting into it too much. Last but not least, You know, we got to talk about
Back to
that best for
throw,
last
it's
week.
Carr. He hurls one deep down the left side. That ball
I
is
did think Auburn would win this
intercepted
game.
at the goal line. Bringing it back.
Auburn's a terrible football team. They suck.
And a big return after the
Witchcraft going on there. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you probably think I'm crazy. There's witchcraft going on there. Saban even said himself. That place is haunted. That's all you can
Use the lob wedge where it takes a little time to get there. That time, he used the lob wedge. The defender came in and
He is sacked way behind the line of scrimmage.
I felt like this year, but all the struggles Alabama had heading into this game.
And the
They're
Canes
playing
have
with
put
fire.
themselves
Eventually,
in dire
they're
straits
going
after
to
that
start with
last
fire
play.
story. You
It's
want me to
second
tell
and
you?
a mile.
I'm
Gonna run
say,
it. It's
when you play with fire, you get burned. And Alabama doesn't love getting burned. They should have lost the game. If Auburn had
really good pickup
Are you
there.
kidding me? Auburn had 11 or 12 drops that I counted. It might have been more. The fumble at the end of the game. They had an interception where it was a perfect pass, just with the drop. Alabama gets that, but Alabama not move the ball in the second half. They're up 17-0 on the league like it's nothing. Fortunately, the defense is quite out their minds this year. Defense, while they won this game, Ty Cincinnati went across on his T's and not on his eyes, but here's the difference maker in this game. Alabama took care of the football. Auburn did not. Yeah. Alabama won. They also got the
down 7-0.
tied up play, 4th and 2. Or he let us miss same, but I'm not going to ask Sean. This is the same guy. A lot of people give us this. Went forward, 4th and 1 in his zone was it Washington State that season.
All the way to the 48-yard line.
So going forward, you got that 5-yard line, like the fourth quarter.
To the air on first down. Looking to the big tight end.
But I'm not too opposed to going forward because he's just hold on. Sir, he went for on 4th and 8. He was that was crazy. So 4th and 2, and it's not the craziest thing I've seen him do. Going. Yeah, it was a good game. So the biggest takeaway from this game for me is Alabama was finally able.
They'll run it from the gun. Got it inside the 30 before he's finally pulled down at the 20.
Had more rushing yards than passing. If you had told me that before this game, I'd say, get out of here. Come up to the Alabama team. Yeah, I would say too.
To the air, it's
Carr.
Carr.
But it was Alabama ran the ball well. Ryan Grove got
He stopped
play
just
on
short of the
reverse
goal
lead
line
flickers
at
and
the
crap.
one, and
Like,
he's
come on, man, we're running the ball fine. We don't need to do all that, but I'm not going to complain and nitpick too much. Alabama got very fortunate and walk out of here with a stadium at night.
Touchdown, Notre Dame. Setting up for the extra point and the tie. Precision blocking up front, created the open lane, and the running back followed it beautifully.
It's pretty easy to follow an offensive line that makes those holes and just gives you a caravan all the way to the end zone. What an unbelievable job blocking up front.
And he'll bring it back.
Start your week. If not, this video can make it a little bit better. And oh man, I hope you're ready for the drama. And I hope you're ready for a jam-packed video because we had just that. As you don't know or should know, if you haven't been living under a rock, the past 48 to 72 hours have been crazy college football, to say the least. So much going on, and it's not just all about Lane Kiffin. I mean, you've had new coaches getting right. And today's video, our main topic isn't just about Lane Kiffin. It's about his Ole Miss players calling him. Yes, that's right. You heard me correctly. You're going to want to see what they had to say. But also, our two other topics we're going to speak on is
how about these two running games so far?
What's going on there?
Dominance on the ground as we look at the first quarter stats.
Within it. There's a whole hoopla going on there. More than safe to say, we got a lot to get into. I don't got time to waste. You don't got time to waste either. I just want to throw this in there. We're on the push for 400,000 subscribers, as you can see right here. Less than 15,000 away. So if you like college football content, videos like this, and you're subscribed to the channel, or maybe you're new, I appreciate you taking time to watch the video. But if you could hit that little subscribe button, help out the channel tremendously. It's a little bit closer to our subscribing is 100% free. And if in a month or two you decide, you know what, I don't like this guy, his videos stink, well, the video that is. I'm excited. Let's get into topic number 1. You know what? I didn't really have this planned out. Well, let's start with old Mark Stoops first because I don't say this is shell-shocking news, but I didn't expect this to happen. I don't really know how to ease into this. He got fired. Yeah, I know, right? I mean, it's pretty black and white. You see right here, breaking. Kentucky's firing head coach Mark Stoops. Perfect. Head goes at Plow, which is CeeLo. Yeah, that's something I expected to see on my Sunday night. Let's take a look at some of the comments, shall we? Taking the Kentucky job seems like Mr. Jesus himself could walk through those doors, and it would take a miracle to squeeze out 6 wins. Kentucky fans won't want to hear it, but Stoops was as good as it gets in regards to football production at the university.
Throw him to the spot.
What do y'all think about that? One rebuttal to that. Maybe true, but it was time. If not now, then when? I watched the game versus Louisville. Louisville missed 2 or 3 wide receivers and several others. Talking about all the players they missed. And I couldn't believe what I was seeing in that rivalry game. And it's also the last game. He was just celebrated for not leaving for A&M, and now a couple years later, he's unemployed, and Kentucky has almost no good offense. Oh, man, a few days from early signing period. I forgot about that. Good job, Kentucky went for this part. Wow. I didn't get it. Mark Susie leaving Kentucky to take the job at A&M. You're an A&M fan. You better be grateful for that. I think instead of him say Mark Susie deserved to keep his job, but to me, he just felt like one of those guys that was going to stay at that program for as long as he wanted it, until forever, and they were pretty much content with it. Do I blame Kentucky for firing him? Heck to the no, he wasn't doing anything. What are some people going to say? Kentucky can't expect to win 8, 9, 10 games a year. I agree, however, it can't get too much worse. Did you watch him this year? I mean, we're talking about 5, 6, 7 games.
He'll be brought down at the 5
literally can't get too much worse. In the power forward division, a couple of cupcakes per season. And take a step back. Let's say you hire a new coach, you go 39 next year. Well, sometimes in this life, you got to take 2 steps backwards and go 3 steps forward. I think it's one of those things where it was time, but I am a little bit shocked by it. I thought they'd give it another year or 2. And let me add to that, the main reason I didn't think they were going to run all job openings, and there's not a lot of great head coaches out there. We'll see what happens there as to who would even be in consideration for that job. I have no idea. And here's a different conversation, a different situation for a different day. Who would even want that Kentucky job? You want to talk about an unappealing job? Look no farther than the Kentucky Wildcats.
Repping in practice over and over and over, and it's paying dividends now on game day.
Here come the Irish back on offense. They find themselves trailing by a touchdown and a chance on this drive to even the score.
Wildcats. Let's move along here and talk about the original since deleted.
Looking for a man. It's Carr.
On yesterday in the
Makes the grab on the left. There he goes. Across the 50 and knocked out of bounds at the 48.
He was committed to Alabama forever. I think it was over a year.